about the wars that are being perpetrated upon the Kurds?
Probably.
Well, if that's, you got to be more clear with your questions. But if you're making reference, you're actually dealing with hybrids coming in, claiming the land and killing off the Aboriginal people who may be designated as the Kurds. They're the actual people of the land, distinguished from hybrids who are been intruding and occupying.
Shakari Bay is asking how to spell bishopric. I think he means bishopric, right?
Just like you say bishop.
Bishopric, right?
Bishop with IC at the end. Bishopric is the bishop, is the clergy collectively. And know this for surety. None of them are, nor have they ever been, who you thought and think they were or are. However, in short order, you'll be finding out.
Okay, so here's a question. How can Sharif, how can I nationalize in Sierra Leone, Africa?
Sierra Leone, you're on the coast. And of course, Sierra Leone is also part of the Moroccan Empire. And as you already know, most of the family on the east side are more conscious of nationality than they are in the north or the Maghreb. Because as you know, when you're dealing with most of the people at the Maghreb over here, they think that human beings are crayons. So most of them will not give you an intelligent answer nor an intelligent argument in relationship to that. But essentially, you would be more looking at your ancient Moabite and Canaanite origin and Hittite origin. Basically, collectively, you all know it wouldn't be hard for me to talk to you being from Sierra Leone because you already know that people are Moors here. However, the argument is with those who are asleep here, who don't know that they're going to be sacrificed physically.
As a
matter of fact, they're so asleep they don't even recognize it's happening already.
Do you mean is it not necessary for?
You're right. Not so much for them.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Because he's already in what you call a legitimate political state.
Okay.
Like for instance, like Sierra Leone, you will not be calling yourself a light-skinned, orange-skinned black person. If you do that, you will lose all your rights. Keep in mind, that's where it is. And the cure that we're projecting is all over the planet in actuality. However, much of the operations that are taken here at the Maghreb, at the Northeast Africa, North America, is by necessity because most of the toxicity that has been perpetrated against the world geographically emanates from here upon the rest of the world, etc. Not from the Aboriginal people, but from the people who have been claiming to be us and killing us off, and who's also been attacking all of the brothers and sisters on the east side of the empire, etc. But keep in mind, Sierra Leone is also and always has been a part of the Moroccan Empire. You already know that you're Moor. The deal of it is that I know it too, and most of the people here know it. As we become more conscious, we will start also coming together in more ways than one to start saving the nation on the planet, distinguished from the hybrid operatives who from John 8:44 have infiltrated all of the nation states and have been introducing their toxins, both political, psychically, economically, militarily, and pharmaceutically on the world. So we're on the move relative to rejecting our association with them. Although every hybrid is not necessarily your enemy. Don't get that twisted.
Okay. Isaac Holloway says, so I started my trust by saying, I, the divine mind dwelling within tabernacle and epidermis by utilization of the humor of by utilization of the humor, is this a good paradigm to acknowledge and make claim of myself?
It indicates a knowledge of you being a sentient and living hominidae. I comprehend what you're saying. Yes, so that would distinguish from the dead, wouldn't it? Yes, it does.
Okay, so Nadine Figueroa Bay says, so the Declaration of Independence is straight BS because the U.S. is selling us to the British,
no,
aka London.
All right, listen, the Declaration of Independence is actually a designation of former, what you might call higher plane principles being put into a document. However, the us must be qualified, because the us is an assumption that all the people on the land were part of the U.S. corporation company. That is not true. So when you're looking at, as an example, Article 3, Section 2 of the judicial order of the Constitution for the United States, and as you already know, when you're talking about they call it really the unanimous Declaration of Independence, you'll see designated nature's law and nature's God. That is actually a dimensional chess move. It all presented at that time, though the principle are ancient, is actually presented for now. However, the operatives among persons called the founding fathers, you had operatives among them too, one of which is Benjamin Franklin. He was actually a British operative. And also, even with the signing of the treaty, you'll notice that he was not present. But the deal of it is the principles behind the unanimous Declaration of Independence and the Articles of Association and the Articles of Confederation and the Constitution for the United States all are based in Muslim law. And this is also in support of those who may do some research. You'll see that being said bluntly by Barack H. Obama when he went to Egypt. And a lot of the conflict that is going on now in the political realm must be observed, because the battling of the two sides of the so-called same beast known as the Democrat and the Republican parties, etc., pretending to be opposites. So the battles you see going on between them is more or less a dog and pony show for the public. Neither one of them are going to save you economically or politically. That's to be put before you right now in front. However, certain things that have been said by either of them may be based in truth only to deceive the public for the purpose of seeking support. But keep in mind and realize that those political platforms are absolutely dying and dead. Now, that's the fact. However, the principles of what you will call isonomy embodied within the Universal Declaration of Independence are ancient and supersede them. However, they were for a dimension or cycle time placement that was not actually at that time, because it was already known that they wouldn't honor. However, it is written, so mote it be, so mote it be now. This is what's being brought to fore now, even in this conversation, and even with the consciousness that's come about for humanity in the Aquarian energy, in the Aquarian lights. This is also why I mentioned, I think about a month ago when we were just talking, and particularly for those who are not necessarily cosmically astute, just for a little bit of research, look at Uranus and what the cause and effect of Uranus in relationship to the cosmo paradigm operating on the planet now, and it'll give you some insight of the electrification, the shaking up and the dismantling of these ens legis entities that were created in the Piscean era that cannot survive under the Aquarian energy. in harmony with the implications and what was stated earlier.
CMG asks, are people in the Caribbean included in the Moorish nation?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. The psychology of the separation is part of the birthright theft paradigm. The Moorish Empire, documented and in fact, include North America. It includes actually most of Africa on the east coast, across the Great Atlantis, North America, Central America, South America, and the adjoining islands comprise the Moorish Empire. That's a fact, not an opinion.
Here's a question. All right. Aquila Mono, would disarming my birth certificate be the first step in getting out of the U.S?
Let's say this. Number one, it's not your birth certificate. If you say my birth certificate, that's a designation of possession and acknowledgement and authorization, and therefore would make you a supporter of the fraud. You would refer to that bottomry instrument as the birth certificate Sister QV trust routing instrument assigned to me without my permission. You can never be and never were a part of the U.S. corporation. They claimed it in order to claim you. All you need to do is rebut it publicly. That's what proclamation means. This is another reason why over the years we've been encouraging people to study fundamental writs, which means writing by one's own hand, and manual, or by one's own hand, making public notice, etc., not application, public notice of your claim of right of reversion of your estate and your hereditaments, both corporal and incorporeal, in its many forms, etc., part of which the conversation tonight includes. Because really the public declaration itself, in proper order and making fundamentally clear, is all that's necessary for an heir to rightfully, by law, be designated or acknowledged as the proper beneficiary to your estate. Cannot be silent. Cannot be silent.
I get these questions every now and then, and I don't know the answer to. Somebody's asking the question. Peace Moors, I want to know how to obtain consular seals, if possible. Freeman Bay.
Now, first I want to say this. Around the land, you have conscious Moors acting in accord with constitutional and treaty enforcement, in accord with our taking our places among the affairs of men, in accord with countering what the Dwight D. Eisenhower administration did in 1954 when they accelerated human trafficking, actually during that period of time, and activating the already operative international venue referred to as consular court. And of course, you know, the members or the owners of the United States Corporation Company stepped off the venue of consular because they have been promoting the nom de guerre venues such as the 14th Amendment and their Negro, paid off Negro preacher marching 501c3 recipient agents in our communities, which is why you don't see them talking about Article 3 Consular Court of Diversity, which is the proper venue upon which all controversies of persons and property should have been litigated in relationship to us, the people of the land, etc., of course, you have seen that that has not been the case. And since 54, they've really been packing the POW camps called private prisons, and they've been telling you that they were lawful prisons when actually they're POW camps, etc. And this is why those prisons predominate of the Asiatic African peoples of the land, because that's exactly what they were designed for. The consular venue of diversity being absent in our community and ignored by those who knew the truth, knew that when our people would go to any of these de facto, pseudo human trafficking venues called state courts and called traffic courts, that they would use those venues to pack the prisons with us and also create bonds, send them to Seed and Company, and also the agents that have been operating on their behalf with among our people, some people who you've trusted. This is why you see them criticizing and knocking consular court, because it's also going to expose them and eventually expose their handlers. This is why you see a lot of the controversy going on among so-called conscious Moors, who are upset that Moors have been activating the already existing but ignored consular court venue. It would be suggested that you study hard, find yourself competent, and make sure that the Constitution and treaty venues are reestablished and activated in the territories of, around which you domicile. Because the same way they've been having these fake courts of human trafficking in all the venues, they're supposed to be the venue of consular diversity of nationality courts, etc. And now you know why they closed them down. This is why all of the problems that exist in our community, why our people never get justice when they go into those courts. And this is also why it is said among the erudite, not from an etymological point of view, but actually from a social engineering point of view, you'll see the statement, Jesus means justice, and Jesus has returned. And we're not talking about the name from the way that people think it is, but Jesus does mean justice.
Question. Ty, right now, I'm at Atlantis, Jamaica Corp, and I think we are part of the North America. Correct me if I'm wrong. If this is the case, can I cite USC codes in any of my claims?
You would cite the principles, but you can make them, you can use them as what you would call obligatory supports relative to members or peoples of the Roman Curia who have claimed to hold office or jurisdictional authority in any matter. Hold them to their oath to that constitution. That's how that is done. And this is also the principle upon which writs of mandamus being issued, to put them, into proper venues. So look up the principles of writ of mandamus and use that same principle in your constructs. However, you don't need the USC codes, but they are designating, for the most part, established law. And you would use them just as reference for support, but you don't need them because the rights already exist. They're only acknowledgments of the right of established law. Because keep in mind, what the hybrids have always done was try to remove the people's rights of using any de jure law whatsoever to support their right of claim. But the principle stood and stands even before the existence of those codes.
All right, here we go. Awareness is Power asks, is the solution to change the status of the name via passport as a national and/or change entity status of birth name to a trust?
So keep in mind, let's make this very clear. Passports were for shipping. It's admiralty. That's for number one. They put that on humans who didn't know better, or who were declared booty and prize. And it doesn't mean that we have not been forced to use them, but know exactly what they are. Passports are not for humans. Passports are for shipping and bottomry instruments of trade. That get that very clear. Whenever there's a discussion of passport, it's not for the sentient living man and woman. It's for shipping lanes only. However, they've crossed over and put that on humans under nom de guerre in order to claim the people as booty and prize, which is exactly what they have been doing. And you all know that that's what has been going on. And this is for people that get caught up in the arguments about, I got a passport, a U.S. passport. Yeah, well, you're shipping. I'm not condemning that. I'm just saying don't try to think that it is a proper identity, because it's not. It means you're a bottomry instrument being traded on the waters under the United States Corporation Company and are essentially stock. That's the fact. So therefore, all the work that it should be doing or going on in our communities should be the rightful acknowledgement of true identification cards relative to nationality and pedigree. Private corporate contracts of what you call adhesion do not arrive at the lawful or erudite designation as identity for any living human man or woman or child.
Let me see, where does it put that up? This question about, okay, here we go. Lee Colton, is it true if all posts are preceded by all rights reserved and